What's going on, guys? It's Highlighted Miners, and today I'm going to equip you with the #1 tool to have as a crypto miner, and that's how to overclock any card in any program. So let's get into it. Alright guys, so let's talk a little bit about the parameters around what we're trying to accomplish. So I want to show you guys today how I set overclocks on any card in any program. For today we're going to be using our main gaming rig that does have a 2080 Ti. We are going to be using T-Rex Miner to mine Ethereum, but this will work on any cryptocurrency with any card in any program. So let me go ahead and open up T-Rex Miner here and get this started. So while that's going, I do want to point out, so what I'm currently going to be overclocking in is NZXT. One of the reasons why I use this program is because I feel it has more stability than MSI Afterburner. I know a lot of people in the mining industry do use Afterburner. I will show you guys. So we're going to be changing the core clock here. We're going to be changing the memory clock, and we're going to be changing the power limit. Okay. I did want to show you what that looks like in MSI Afterburner. You have the same core clock here, you have the same memory clock here, and you have the same power percentage limit here. Now, one thing is, on MSI Afterburner you can control fan speed, whereas NZXT doesn't have that unless you have a fan controller. I have no issues with the auto setting that's inherently defaulted in NZXT. But if you want to go ahead and use MSI Afterburner, that's great. This right here, if you click on this A button, you can actually move this slider. I traditionally try to keep my cards anywhere at 60 degrees Celsius and lower, so I set the fans accordingly, meaning I'll probably have it higher in the summer and lower in the winter. So let's talk about the fundamentals of trying to figure out the best overclock setting for your card. Now, all cards are created different, but there is a baseline for each card. Now, you can look up the baseline in a ton of different places. There's YouTube videos on showing what those individuals had for their clock settings. There's also something like miningchamber.com that'll tell you what mega hash per second you should be getting on a card if you put in certain settings. But I want to go from a complete zero. If you want to know exactly what your card can do based on, your Silicon Lottery, then this is how I do it. So I'm going to do this in real time so that you guys can see it. So the first thing we need to do is establish the core clock. So as you see over here, we are getting about 34.89 mega hash. Now this mega hash will be lower than what you would traditionally see out of a 2080 Ti because I am recording on the same PC. But what I traditionally start with is going about 50. See if we can get it here. Go -50 in the core clock, and then let's wait a few seconds and see how that actually adjusts the core clock. Or excuse me, adjust the mega hash. So as you can see, we got 38.21. We are getting good shares, which is great. So next time this refreshes, we'll see exactly what change that had. 38.07. So obviously that's worse. We'll see if we get the same result here in a few seconds. So 37.94. So at this point, I would say that changing the core clock to negative was not beneficial for this card. At that point, I would probably start moving this core clock up. You want to establish a core clock that's going to actually increase. So let's try 100 and see what happens. Now, sometimes I do find that a small negative in core clock can negatively impact your mining mega hash per second, which is why I dropped it to down to 100 just to see exactly what we're getting here. So what I've noticed so far is that regardless of -50 or -100, what we have is kind of a stagnant mega hash per second. So what that tells me is that the core clock on this card changing slightly isn't actually dramatically changing the mega hash per second. So what we're going to do is go ahead and move directly into memory clock. So what we're going to do is move this to about 400. I like to start right at about 400 just to see if the card can actually handle that, and we'll see how that changes it. You can see that that memory jumped up here. And you can see the core clock that we have over here is about 1800. So you can see instantaneously we went from 37.76 to 38.60. So that was a positive increase. So we're going to continue to increase this. I'm probably only going to go about 300 this time just to make sure I don't push the card too far. So let's take a look at how that's going to impact it. So now we have 40.28. So we saw a huge increase between that last one. So we're getting closer. So I'll move up probably about 200, right around the 9. Actually, let's go about 950 here. Again, I like to test this in Windows because Windows, if a card doesn't work, your screen will just start to show some graphical errors and then shut down and turn back on, which allows you to sort of change and alter the card before you put it into something like HiveOS. If you guys want to know how to use TRX Miner, I'll put a link up in the description on the right so that you guys can see how I set this up. But look here, now we have 42.13. So we went from 40 to 42.13, just going up to 950. Let's see if we get a similar change here in a second. 43.60. So we're starting to see the algorithm sort of dial in at this point. Let's see if we get a consistent one on the next one. One of the things I do want to point out is I'm really happy with the temperature on this. We're at right about 58 degrees. So we see a 44, so we're still stabilizing in there. One of the things that you really want to see is over the last, I would say 3 readings really. If you have to look for how much it's going to jump. Anything above about a 0.25, I traditionally let it stabilize out before I make any changes. So we're just going to let this stabilize one more time and see exactly what that comes in at. There we got 44.05, right? So we can assume that 44.04 and 44.05, so we've stabled in there. So again, I'm going to move this probably about 1100 just to see where that fall is. I love those two accepted shares right at the same time. And we should see here on this next one exactly how that change is going to go. And again, guys, this works for any miner on any platform. This is how I do my overclock settings in HiveOS. Traditionally, I do, so we got a 44.18 here. So traditionally, I do test everything inside of Windows first, the same way that we're doing it here. And the reason why I do that, like I said, it won't take your whole rig down. Most of my rigs have 6 to 8 cards on them, so I don't want to take a whole rig down. Again, we got 44, so we went up about 0.5 there. So we're just going to sit and sort of wait on that next one. But as a miner, your goal is to profit, right? That's what we're all doing this for. So I want to keep my rig up as long as humanly possible. 44.92, so not much of a change. We're gonna probably come up to about 1320 just to see what sort of pushing this memory does to it. Now Ethereum is a algorithm that likes a lot of memory, so I really want to push that memory as hard as I can and really see what that does for us. So let's take a look at what 1320 does for us. Guys, if you are enjoying the content, I'd love it if you would hit that subscribe button. We're going to be uploading every 2 to 3 days, if not more frequently. We got tons of great content coming out. We're going to be doing series on not only mining, I'm actually building a place for all my mining rigs, so you guys will see that soon. We're going to grow our farm to probably about 100 cards. That's the goal as a home GPU miner. As well as we're going to start educating some people. So we are serial entrepreneurs. We absolutely love the business side of our hobbies. So I'm going to do quite a bit on what do I do for taxes, how are taxes done for cryptocurrency, and what do I think about as a business individual owning a marketing firm, owning a real estate firm, and you know, how do I correlate those skills in with crypto mining. So as we can see here, it's about 46.6. We can push that a little farther, but we're probably not going to, only because I don't want the computer to shut down when I'm. So guys, I'm as you can see, we have 46.66. I'm very happy with that, knowing how much mega hash I lose when I traditionally run my recording software. That is right on par. When my software is not running, I get about 61 mega hash per second out of this card. But one of the things that you do next is once you establish your core clock and once you establish your current memory clock, what you're going to want to do is start dropping this power limit down. I traditionally go by about 5% each time. And this is just going to save you those little bit of watts here and there. Now what you're looking for is every time you drop this down by 5%, you want to make sure that you maintain a mega hash that you're happy with. So as you can see, our change in delta from here to here is 0.16, or excuse me, from here to here is 0.09. So we'll see what the next one posts, and that'll sort of give us an indication as to where we are. 46.51, right? So we went up there. So we can assume that this power limit is good. I'm going to go down another 5. Okay, we saw about a 0.06 change there. Not enough to really warrant us changing it at this point. And again, guys, I'm just trying to give you the tools and equip you with how to find your own overclocking settings for any card on any program. I know that there's a lot of base settings, and traditionally what I would do is start with those base settings. I think it's appropriate for us to do so, just so we know where we're starting out. So we do see a little drop here, so I'll probably keep this around 90%. Now I know the 2080 Ti's do take quite a bit more power, which is why I think we're seeing that slight change here. Now there's other cards that are way more efficient, the 6600, 6600 XTs, but you know, the A2000s. But I do know that this card is a little power hungry. So I'm actually really happy with those settings. Like I said, I know this card gets about 61, 62 when I'm not recording, and I know it loses some of that when I am recording, and it comes down to about that 46, 47 range. So guys, again, we're doing current clock, and we're taking that down until we see that we're no longer gaining mega hash per second. We're then taking the memory clock up as far as we can until we're not losing mega hash per second, and then we're lowering that power clock as far as we can until we're not losing mega hash per second. Well, guys, I hope that this sort of helped you and equipped you with the skills to take any card in any program and find overclock settings that work for that particular card. Because like any miner will tell you, they could buy 100 of the same cards and probably all of them will have their perfect sweet spot with overclock settings. I appreciate y'all coming and spending some time with me, and we'll see you next time.